There are moments in life when something shifts inside you without explanation. Nothing dramatic happens, no voice speaks, no sign appears in the sky, yet your heart feels different. Certain paths no longer attract you. Certain words begin to echo louder in your mind. Certain doors close in ways that feel strangely protective rather than painful. You may think it is coincidence, stress, or overthinking, but there is a truth many people miss. Allah does not always guide with noise. Sometimes He speaks through patterns, through unease, through peace, through removal, and through silence itself. The most dangerous mistake is to assume Allah is silent just because life feels quiet. In reality, Allah often speaks when the world stops distracting you. If you have been experiencing unusual clarity, discomfort with old habits, or a calm pull toward Him without knowing why, this is not random. These are signs. And if you recognize even one of them, it may mean Allah is already speaking to you. 1. Your heart becomes uncomfortable with sin you once ignored. One of the clearest and most powerful signs that Allah is speaking to you is when your heart begins to reject what it once accepted without question. There was a time when certain actions felt normal, when certain habits did not disturb your sleep, and when certain words left your mouth without leaving a mark on your conscience. But now something has changed inside you. You may still stumble, you may still struggle, but your heart no longer feels calm afterward. There is a quiet restlessness that appears, a heaviness that was not there before. This inner discomfort is not meant to shame you or break you. It is not Allah pushing you away. It is Allah pulling you closer. When Allah wants good for a servant, He softens their heart, and a softened heart becomes sensitive. It can no longer enjoy what distances it from its Creator. What once felt harmless now feels wrong, not because people are watching, but because Allah is. This is an important difference. Hypocrisy fears exposure. Faith feels discomfort even in privacy. When your heart starts to react before your mind can justify, it means Allah has placed awareness within you. This unease is not punishment. It is protection. Allah does not immediately expose the servant He loves. Instead, He corrects them from the inside. He places a barrier between the heart and the sin, not through fear of people, but through loss of pleasure. When sin stops giving satisfaction and starts giving anxiety, it is a sign that Allah is gently redirecting you. He's telling you, without words, that this path is no longer safe for your soul. Many people continue in sin without feeling anything at all. Their hearts grow numb, and numbness is far more dangerous than guilt. Feeling disturbed by sin means your heart is alive. It means Allah has not abandoned you to yourself. Every time you feel that inner resistance, that quiet voice urging you to stop, understand that this is a private mercy. Allah is giving you a chance to return before the damage becomes permanent. The pain you feel is not rejection. It is evidence that Allah is still working on you, still guiding you, still inviting you back to Him. 2. Distractions are removed from your life without your effort. Another powerful sign that Allah is speaking to you is when distractions begin to leave your life without you actively chasing them away. People you once felt emotionally dependent on slowly drift out. Habits that used to consume your time lose their grip. Certain desires that once felt urgent no longer excite your heart the same way. At first, this feels confusing and even painful because the human heart resists change, especially when it comes without explanation. But this removal is not random, and it is not loss in the way you think it is. When Allah wants to guide a servant, He often begins by clearing space. Your heart cannot carry everything at once. If it is filled with noise, attachments, unhealthy bonds, or constant distraction, there is no room left for awareness, reflection, or closeness to Allah. So Allah intervenes quietly. He does not always command you to leave something. Sometimes He makes it leave you. This is mercy disguised as separation. You may notice that certain relationships no longer feel aligned. Conversations that once energized you now feel empty. Environments you once enjoyed begin to drain you instead. This is not you becoming too good for people. It is Allah refining your direction. When a path no longer serves your akhirah, Allah slowly removes your emotional attachment to it so that leaving does not destroy you. Sometimes this removal happens suddenly. A door closes, a plan collapses, an opportunity disappears at the last moment. You may feel frustration and ask, why now? But Allah sees what you cannot see. He knows which distractions would delay your growth, weaken your faith, or tie your heart to something temporary. So He protects you before damage is done. Protection often feels uncomfortable because it interrupts what we wanted, not what we needed. Understand this deeply. If something leaves your life without struggle, without you forcing it, without you begging for distance, it is very often Allah doing the work for you. Allah is merciful. He does not burden the heart with choices it is not ready to make. He removes what would keep you stuck so that your soul can move forward. This is especially true when distractions leave at a time when you are becoming more aware of Allah. That timing is not coincidence. Allah removes what competes with Him in your heart, not out of jealousy, but out of love. He knows that divided hearts suffer. A focused heart finds peace. So if you notice your life becoming quieter, simpler, more selective, do not panic. Silence is not emptiness. It is preparation. Allah often removes distractions before He delivers clarity. What feels like isolation may actually be alignment. What feels like loss may actually be protection. When Allah takes something away without resistance, trust that He is guiding you towards something better for your soul, even if your eyes cannot see it yet. 3. You feel drawn to dua even without a crisis. One of the most subtle yet powerful signs that Allah is speaking to you is when your heart turns toward dua without being pushed by pain, fear, or desperation. Most people raise their hands only when life becomes unbearable, when doors close suddenly, or when the weight of the world presses too hard on their chest. But when Allah is guiding a servant closely, dua begins to appear in their life, even when nothing is wrong. You find yourself talking to Allah in quiet moments, in between tasks, late at night, or early in the morning. Not because you are broken, but because your heart feels incomplete without that connection. This pull toward dua is not something you force. It happens naturally. You may notice that your tongue starts remembering Allah before your mind plans it. Words of dua come easily, without effort, without performance. This is a sign that Allah wants a relationship with you that goes beyond emergency requests. He is inviting you to speak to Him not only as a last option, but as a constant presence in your life. When dua becomes comfort instead of crisis management, it means Allah is bringing your heart closer to Him. There is something deeply personal about this kind of dua. You are not asking for specific outcomes all the time. Sometimes, you are simply talking. You're sharing thoughts, worries, hopes, and even confusion. You may not always have the right words, but your heart feels relief just by turning toward Allah. This is not coincidence. Allah says He is near, and when a servant feels that nearness without being forced by hardship, it is a sign of divine closeness. Many people think Allah only listens when life falls apart, but in reality, Allah loves when His servant remembers Him in ease. When you make dua while calm, while stable, while grateful, you are showing sincerity. You are not using Allah only when you need rescue. You are acknowledging Him as the source of your peace. This kind of dua strengthens faith and builds trust long before tests arrive. You may also notice that dua becomes easier than complaining to people. Instead of venting endlessly to others, your heart prefers turning to Allah first. This is not weakness. This is wisdom Allah places in the heart of a servant He wants to protect. People may listen, but only Allah can respond with power. When your heart understands this truth without being taught, it is Allah teaching you directly through experience. So if you find yourself making dua without a visible reason, speaking to Allah even when life seems calm, and feeling relief simply by remembering Him, do not ignore this sign. Allah is not waiting for you to break before He listens. He is drawing you closer now so that when difficulty comes, your heart already knows where to turn. This is Allah speaking to you gently, inviting you into a deeper, more consistent relationship with Him. Chteri, your view of the dunya begins to change. Another clear sign that Allah is speaking to you is when your relationship with the dunya quietly shifts. Nothing dramatic may happen on the surface. You still wake up, work, plan, strive, and fulfill your responsibilities. But inside, something fundamental changes. The dunya no longer controls your emotional state the way it once did. Things that used to excite you excessively begin to feel temporary. Things that once devastated you lose their power to destroy your peace. This change does not make you careless or lazy. It makes you balanced. Before this shift, happiness may have depended heavily on outcomes. Success made you feel complete, and failure made you feel worthless. Praise lifted you, and criticism crushed you. But when Allah begins to guide a servant closely, He teaches the heart a deeper truth, that the dunya is a tool, not a destination. You still use it, but you no longer live inside it emotionally. This understanding does not come from books alone. It comes from Allah reshaping the heart through experience. You may notice that your ambitions become cleaner. You still want success, but you no longer feel desperate for it. You still fear loss, but it no longer paralyzes you. This is not emotional coldness. It is spiritual maturity. Allah removes the illusion that worldly things can provide lasting security. He teaches you, gently, that everything in the dunya is borrowed, and anything borrowed can be taken back at any time. This shift also changes how you handle disappointment. When something does not work out, your first response is no longer panic or anger. Instead, there is a quiet acceptance, even if pain exists. You may say, Allah knows, not as a slogan, but as a lived reality. This acceptance does not mean you stop trying. It means you stop fighting Allah's decree. There is a big difference. One is weakness, the other is trust. Another sign within this change is that comparison loses its grip on you. You stop measuring your worth by what others have, how fast they are progressing, or how they appear outwardly. You realize that everyone is being tested differently, and everyone is being guided differently. This understanding brings relief. It frees the heart from constant competition and replaces it with contentment. Allah does this because a heart deeply attached to the dunya cannot handle certain levels of guidance. Attachment creates fear. Fear blocks trust. So Allah slowly loosens the grip of the dunya on your heart, not by taking everything away, but by changing how much importance it holds inside you. This is a mercy. Many people are wealthy but anxious. Many people are successful but empty. Allah saves you from that trap by teaching you early that the dunya cannot be your foundation. If you notice that your heart is becoming lighter, less reactive, less desperate, and more grounded in Allah than in outcomes, understand that this is not accidental. Allah is speaking to you through this shift. He is preparing you for a life where peace comes from reliance on Him, not from circumstances. When the dunya loses its power over your heart, but remains in your hands, Allah has guided you well. 5. You are given clarity after confusion, not during it. One of the most misunderstood ways Allah speaks to a servant is through periods of confusion. Many people assume that guidance should feel clear from the beginning, that when Allah is involved, the path should make sense immediately. But in reality, Allah often teaches the heart through uncertainty before He grants understanding. When Allah is speaking to you, He does not always explain the lesson while you are inside the struggle. Instead, He allows confusion to stretch you, to humble you, and to empty you of false confidence, so that real clarity can eventually take its place. During these confusing phases, you may feel lost even while doing the right things. You may be making dua, trying to obey Allah, and still feel unsure about your direction. This does not mean Allah is distant. It often means He is working deeply. Confusion has a purpose. It removes arrogance. It breaks the illusion that you are fully in control. It forces the heart to rely on Allah instead of its own plans. Many people only truly turn to Allah when their understanding fails them, and Allah knows this. What is important to recognize is that Allah rarely gives clarity in the middle of emotional chaos. When emotions are loud, understanding is quiet. So, Allah waits. He allows the storm to pass, the dust to settle, and the heart to soften. Then, suddenly, clarity appears. It does not arrive as excitement or pride. It arrives as calm. You look back at what confused you and realize that every delay, every obstacle, every unanswered question had a role. The pain begins to make sense, not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. This kind of clarity does not come with arrogance. You do not say, "I was right all along." Instead, you say, "Now I understand why Allah did that." This shift in language is important. It shows that the heart has learned humility. Allah teaches through experience what words alone cannot deliver. That is why He allows certain lessons to be lived before they are explained. Another sign within this process is that clarity does not push you to rush. When Allah gives understanding, it does not create anxiety or urgency. It creates steadiness. You feel grounded even if the path ahead is still challenging. You stop forcing outcomes and start aligning actions with trust. This is the difference between self-made decisions and Allah-guided ones. Many people become frustrated during confusion and assume they are being punished or ignored. But often, confusion is a sign of preparation. Allah does not give deep clarity to a heart that is not ready to carry it. He shapes the heart first, then reveals the wisdom. If clarity came too early, it would be wasted. If answers came too quickly, growth would be shallow. So if you are going through a period where things do not make sense, where your plans feel interrupted and your understanding feels limited, do not rush Allah. Stay sincere, stay patient, stay connected. When clarity arrives, it will not shock you, it will settle you. And when you finally understand, you will realize that Allah was speaking to you the entire time, not through explanations, but through experience. 6. You are protected from things you desire deeply. One of the most difficult signs of Allah's guidance to recognize is when He protects you from something you wanted with all your heart. This type of protection does not feel like mercy at first. It feels like denial. You prayed for it. You imagined your future with it. You made plans around it. And yet, Allah closed the door in a way that left no room for return. This is where many people struggle, because the heart naturally believes that what it desires must be good. But Allah sees what the heart cannot see, and He knows what the soul is not ready to carry. When Allah is speaking to you, He does not always give you what you ask for. Sometimes He saves you from it. There are desires that would have distracted you, weakened your faith, delayed your growth, or tied your heart to something temporary. Allah's mercy is not limited to granting requests. Sometimes His greatest mercy is withholding them. This kind of protection is quiet, firm, and precise. It does not come with explanations. It comes with closure. You may notice that despite effort, despite patience, despite sincere dua, the path remains blocked. Every attempt to reopen it fails. At first, this feels personal. You may question yourself. You may wonder what you did wrong. But protection from Allah is not a reflection of your worth. It is a reflection of His knowledge. Allah does not test you by giving you everything you want. He tests you by giving you what you need for your akhirah, even when your heart disagrees. Over time, something changes. The pain softens. The attachment weakens. You begin to see parts of that desire that were hidden before. You recognize risks you ignored, consequences you underestimated, and emotional costs you were willing to overlook. This delayed understanding is a gift. Allah allows you to reach a point where you can finally say, "Now I see why that did not happen." That realization does not come from bitterness. It comes from maturity. Another important sign is that when Allah protects you from something, He often replaces it with something better for your soul, not necessarily better for your ego. It may be less impressive outwardly, but more peaceful inwardly. You may not immediately feel excitement, but you feel stability, you feel alignment, you feel relief, This is how Allah teaches you that peace is more valuable than desire. Many people spend their lives chasing what Allah already saved them from. They reopen wounds, force doors, and return to paths Allah closed for their own good. But when Allah is speaking to you, He teaches you to trust His refusals as much as His gifts. You stop measuring success by what you gained and start measuring it by what did not destroy you. So if Allah removed something you loved deeply and you are still standing, still breathing, still able to move forward, understand this truth. Allah did not abandon you. He protected you. The pain you felt was temporary. The harm He prevented was permanent. When Allah saves you from what you thought you needed, He is guiding you toward what will actually preserve your faith, your heart, and your future. 7. Your heart finds peace in remembrance, not escape. One of the deepest and most beautiful signs that Allah is speaking to you is when peace begins to come from remembrance rather than escape. Earlier in life, peace may have come from distractions. You escaped into noise, entertainment, constant conversation, scrolling, or staying busy so you would not have to sit with your thoughts. Silence felt uncomfortable. Being alone felt heavy. Stillness felt empty. But when Allah begins to guide a servant closely, this relationship with silence changes completely. You may notice that your heart no longer seeks relief by running away from itself. Instead, it seeks calm by turning inward toward Allah. Dhikr starts to feel grounding rather than repetitive. Saying the name of Allah slows your breathing. Quran no longer feels like something you should do, but something that settles you. This is not because life suddenly became easy. It is because your heart found an anchor stronger than circumstances. This kind of peace is very different from temporary comfort. Distractions numb pain, but they do not heal it. Remembrance does not erase hardship, but it strengthens the heart, so hardship no longer overwhelms you. When Allah is speaking to you, He teaches your heart that peace is not found by avoiding reality, but by standing firmly within it while connected to Him. You begin to realize that no amount of entertainment can give what one sincere moment with Allah can provide. Another sign within this shift is that solitude no longer scares you. You can sit alone without feeling lonely. You can be quiet without feeling empty. This does not mean you reject people or withdraw from life. It means your sense of worth and calm is no longer dependent on constant interaction. Allah fills the space inside you that once demanded noise. When the heart is full of remembrance, silence becomes safe. You may also notice that during moments of stress, your instinctive reaction changes. Instead of immediately reacting, panicking, or searching for distraction, your heart pauses. You remember Allah. Even if fear exists, it no longer controls you. This pause is powerful. It is evidence that Allah has trained your heart to respond rather than react. That training does not happen overnight. It is a sign of ongoing divine care. This peace does not make you detached from the world. It makes you stable within it. You still feel emotions. You still experience sadness, joy, loss, and hope. But these emotions no longer define you. They pass through you without owning you. Allah places Sakina in the heart of the servant who remembers Him, not as a reward for perfection, but as support for sincerity. Many people search their entire lives for this kind of peace and never find it because they look for it in escape. Allah gives it to those who turn toward Him instead. So if you find that your heart calms down when you remember Allah, if your soul feels lighter in prayer than in distraction, and if silence feels safer than noise, understand this clearly. Allah is speaking to you. He is teaching you where true peace lives. And once the heart tastes this peace, it no longer needs to run. Allah does not speak to His servants in one single way, nor does He guide every heart through the same path, but He is always speaking, always guiding, always calling those who are willing to listen with awareness and sincerity. These signs are not meant to make you feel chosen above others or spiritually superior. They are meant to make you more responsible, more conscious, and more humble before Allah. When guidance comes, it comes with trust, not pride. It comes with accountability, not entitlement. If you have recognized these signs in your life, understand that this is not coincidence and it is not imagination. It is Allah communicating with you through changes in your heart, your priorities, and your inner state. Allah speaks through discomfort before He speaks through clarity. He speaks through loss before He speaks through peace. He speaks through silence before He speaks through understanding. Every shift you experienced was shaping you for something greater than you could see at the time. Do not rush this process. Guidance is not a moment. It is a journey. Respond to Allah's signs with patience, gratitude, and obedience. Strengthen your connection through prayer, remembrance, and sincerity, even when the path feels slow. Allah never abandons a heart that turns toward Him honestly. The fact that you are aware, that you are questioning, that you are feeling these shifts is already proof that Allah is near. And remember this deeply. When Allah speaks to you, He is not asking you to be perfect. He is asking you to return. And every step you take toward Him, no matter how small, is already met with mercy far greater than you can imagine.